and welcome to Practice Ignition session at QuickBooks Connect. We are delighted to be here today. It's been a day of fantastic content and we're really excited to bring you today's session, which is Get Paid at the Right Price. And this is a very hot topic of conversation. Pricing is a real point of debate, and automating billing processes is something that is becoming more and more popular. So to break down today's title, I want to break this down into pricing and how to structure your pricing, and then also how to actually create a reliable payment process, because there's no point having a fantastic pricing system in place and funneling your potential clients through your range of different prices and using all of the psychology around that if you don't actually have a process in place to make sure that you are receiving payment when you need to. If you don't have the automation there, things can become a lot more difficult, no matter how sophisticated your pricing has actually been. Before we jump into the content of today's session, I would just like to introduce myself. So my name is Alice Best and I work for Practice Ignition as a partnerships manager there, which means that I get to speak to industry bodies, I get to work with consultants and thought leaders, and I also get to work with innovative tech partners like QuickBooks, which is a real pleasure. So QuickBooks are a fantastic partner of ours. We have a brilliant integration that I'll be telling you a little bit more about today, and we're really happy to be here. My previous role at PI was actually client facing. So I used to have lots of interaction with UK accounting partners, and I know all too well all of the difficulties surrounding pricing and getting paid, and I'm very used to hearing all of the objections around that and all of the problems that today's UK accounting landscape is facing. So hopefully I'm well equipped to be addressing a very common concern with all of my sort of contact knowledge from the industry bodies, the consultants and our tech partners. So as I've explained today, we've got the two elements to today's session, pricing and payment process. So with that in mind, I just want to walk you through our agenda. So we're going to look at value over time. Now, recently, people have actually moved across from time-based billing over to fixed fee billing, with a few more firms actually yet to make that journey. So we're going to look into value versus time and the pros and cons of each method and exactly which one might be able to work for you. We've also got pricing with confidence on there. And I know that as an industry, accountants don't tend to follow the sort of really intense sales process of, funneling a lead through a process and calling them all the time and being really salesy. And that's actually one of the brilliant things about the industry. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be pricing with confidence. So we're going to walk you through some techniques and some tools that you can have at your disposal to make sure that you feel as confident as possible when you're having conversations around price with a client. Now, I've highlighted in green the 3-option pricing, which is basically we're going to look at the psychology of 3-option pricing and also the tech that you can use to support that will seamlessly fit into your sales process. So we're really going to focus on that today. We've also got cash flow management. So how can you actually structure your billing process to make sure that both your and your client's cash flow is running really smoothly? And then we'll look at guaranteed payments. So once you've got the pricing right, you've got your billing structure right, how do you actually get paid on time? So we're really going to deep dive into that, which is again why I've highlighted that in green as a key part of today's session. And then we're going to have a Q&A. So I would love it if you sort of got involved with any question you have while we work through today's content and send it through, and I'd love to answer your questions. So we'll have a Q&A session at the end, and I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on today's topic. So I wanted to start with a quote from Warren Buffett, which is, "Price is what you pay, value is what you get." And what I want to do here is really distinguish the difference between price and value. The most important distinction between price and value is the fact that price is completely arbitrary and value is fundamental. So let's look at an example. If a person is selling gold bars for £5, the price of those gold bars is, in this example, £5. It's a completely arbitrary amount chosen by the seller for reasons known to them, their own processes, where they found it, what they think of it, their knowledge of it. But in spite of that, in spite of the fact that those gold bars are priced at £5, their value is so much more. So we really need to get away from the idea that value and price can be compared in a very linear way. So let's apply this to your own practice. Your VAT return might be £300, but your client, the value could be sleeping at night, spending more time with their family, and having peace of mind. So you applying a £300 label to your VAT return is completely arbitrary, and it's really actually the customer who is deciding the value of the service you're offering to them. When we sell, it's important to focus on the value to the client rather than the price. They're not paying for your service, they're paying for the value of their service. They're paying for that time back with their family. They're paying for the peace of mind. They're paying for sleeping at night. And it's really important that when you have those conversations with clients, that you're confident on the value it's going to deliver to their business. What's it going to allow their business to do, rather than focusing on the fact that this service is £300. So I want to look into Pricing 101, which is basically some of the key thought processes behind your pricing. And I want to look at a few more distinctions. So we've already looked at value versus pricing, but I want to now look at value versus time. If you price via time, the faster and better you work, the less you get paid. Which is a really important thing to note, because it means that you're not actually empowering yourself or your team to work smarter, to improve your processes, or to doing anything more quickly, because you'll actually get less money for it. That also poses a problem when you start to pay more money for tech, as everyone is, and especially everyone in 2020 moved towards a more tech mindset way of working. So the more you try and automate your processes via tools like QuickBooks or Practice Ignition, not only are you then paying for that service, which is a very valuable service from that software provider, but you're actually, in the time that you're saving with that provider, you're not actually getting paid anymore, because you're actually having to charge your client less. Another factor with value versus time is that your clients will be less likely to call you if there are problems. You're not going to get a problem flagged to you in time, and it may cause problems later down the line. And you'll also have fewer touch points with clients, which enable you to provide excellent customer service, to try and nurture that relationship, or to even upsell them products where appropriate. Which leads me on to another key element, which is the only way you can increase revenue is to increase your hourly rate, or to use more of your time. So then you either have to charge your clients more money for what you're already offering, which puts a little bit of pressure on the relationship, or you have to eat into your own time if you actually want to increase your revenue, which means that scaling a practice then becomes very difficult. And the final point I want to leave you with in value versus time is that someone is always willing to offer the same service for less. So when we present a service as being a time-based value to a client, they're unlikely to be able to see exactly what you're offering to them as the value itself, and they're going to be focusing more on the amount of time that you've spent working on that service. So I want to look at output versus input. If I ask a plumber to fix a tap, I just want the tap fixed. It doesn't matter to me what tools he used, how long it took, what it took for him to get there. I just want the tap fixed, and I'm happy to pay the same amount for whether it took 2 hours and a bus, a train, an airplane for him to get there, or whether he arrived in 2 minutes and fixed it in 2 minutes. The value to me is the same. I want to be focusing on the output of that plumber rather than the input. So when you're having conversations with clients, don't tell them what goes into a service, whether that be time or any other factors. Focus on what they're going to get from you. Focus on the value, focus on the output. And let's look at systemizing rather than customizing. Let's think about buying a plain white t-shirt versus buying a customized or personalized t-shirt. Think of the difference in price. You're probably looking at maybe 3 to 4 times as much for a personalised t-shirt. How many of you charge 3 to 4 times as much when a client asks for a bespoke or customized range of services? I'm guessing the answer is going to be quite low there. I don't think many people will be charging that sort of amount to customize. And it's very easy to underestimate the cost to your business when you customize. So editing the proposal differently, editing the engagement letter differently, setting up a different workflow, assessing and reporting on the service differently, making sure all your staff are aware that there's a different bespoke service going on there, all have real operational costs, as well as later down the line having to look at, are they wanting to be billed in a different way? What's that costing us? Is that affecting our cash flow? Any discrepancies or sort of anomalies within your client base are actually pretty costly. And if you're not adjusting your price according to that, or saying we don't customize at all, you are going to be incurring costs. And ultimately, having a very varied client base of services and billing types makes it very difficult to actually forecast and scale your business. And the fourth pricing 101 point is about being transparent and upfront. Be confident in your pricing. Don't apologise for what you're charging. Be proud of what you're delivering. A 2019 study actually showed that 90% of iPhone users have no intention of changing to Android, despite the fact that iPhones cost about 40% more than the average Android phone. We all know that iPhones are incredibly expensive. We hate the process of having to go and pay for the upgrade, but we don't actually want to look elsewhere once we've shopped with Apple. Give your clients the Apple experience and they won't actually go anywhere else. Apple doesn't apologise for being such an expensive product. It delivers a fantastic service and a fantastic product. So it's really important to be transparent, upfront and confident about the value that you're delivering to your clients. I want to have a moment for a quick reflection, which is how many people here have lowered their price when requested by a customer? So really take a moment to think, have I done this? What's it actually cost my business? How many of my clients have I actually lowered my price for? And I just want you to keep that in mind as we move on to the next slide. So we're going to have a look at 3-option pricing. And before I go into how you can actually implement this with the nitty gritty of software and structure, let's talk about why 3-option pricing could be a good option for you. Customers love having choice. They love having control over what they're buying, and they love seeing all of the different options available to them and making an informed decision, especially now in the age of online shopping. In most areas of our life, we can really quickly shop between different brands, different items, and select the one that works best for us. And there's a big enjoyment often in that process of making the right decision. Giving your clients the ability to pick from your services automatically gives them a positive buyer's experience. So splitting your services into 3 options is a brilliant way to showcase every service that you offer and to expose smaller clients to services they might not have actually known existed otherwise. If you have a tiny little startup come to you for your services, they wouldn't ordinarily be able to see what you offer for your kind of larger, more developed clients, and yet by laying the 3 options out in front of them, they get to see a sneak preview of what's available to them when they do start to grow and scale, and it actually offers a kind of a very subtle upselling service to them. So choices are very important to most customers. However, having too many choices can actually have the opposite effect. We've all watched Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, and we know that having a sort of 12-page menu of all different cuisines is far less effective than having one simple, small menu with about 6 options there. Having a small service selection available to clients and a very tailored service selection available to clients makes it clear to your customers that you have a narrow but exceptional set of services, and it implies quality. It implies that you do a few things very well. So how we present our services to clients makes a really big impact on whether they actually select us as their accountant. Too many choices can also actually paralyze the client. So we don't want to delay the sales process by kind of overwhelming them with that sort of 12-page menu approach. We want to keep things really trim. So if you've decided that you do want to implement 3-option pricing, how do you go about structuring it? So let's take a look at what 3-option pricing actually could be in layman's terms. So most of the time you'll have a basic package right at the bottom end, which gives your customers the core features of your service, and it will solve the main challenge or problem that they're facing in their business. You'll then have the standard package, which contains everything in the basic package, but also features such as add-ons, productivity tools, maybe more advisory services in there to help your customers take their business to the next step. And then you'll have the premium package. And this is everything your solution can offer at its max capacity. So while most buyers won't opt for this bells and whistles version of what you do, it will bring you about the biggest return per unit sold. Now, of those 3 packages, your standard middle package is going to become your most popular option. Now, part of the reason for this is the decoy effect. So the decoy effect is when, if you price two of your 3 options relatively closely, watch people move to that higher price within the choice of 2. So if you price your basic package relatively closely to your standard middle package and you offer a couple more services in for your standard package, people will perceive themselves as getting a lot more value for money with their middle package. And so most of the time your clients will move on to that standard plan. Now, it's really important to note that we're not manipulating clients into always picking that kind of middle standard package, but it's a way of showing your clients exactly what they can move towards and exactly what is available to them. I also would recommend popping on something in your middle package, as you can see here, such as this is the package we recommend for you. This is our most popular package. This is the most likely package that's going to work for you. So using 3-option pricing has a number of different sort of psychological benefits, I guess. Really streamlining the amount of choice, clearly presenting what is available to the clients so they can make an informed choice, and hopefully driving them towards enough of a service offering that you can really deliver a lot of value to their business. So definitely recommend looking into 3-option pricing if you're thinking that your pricing structure currently needs a little bit more sort of tailoring to make it clear to the client exactly what's available. So we've touched on the psychology of 3-option pricing, and I could go on for longer. It's a really meaty area, and I would encourage you to do some research into that if it's something that you are interested in exploring. And now I want to look into how you actually implement 3-option pricing. So Practice Ignition was actually born out of an accounting practice over in Sydney and founded by Guy Pearson. Now, Guy started interactive accounting and was using all of the best cloud tools available and was automating basically every single thing in his practice. But the one area of his practice that he couldn't automate was engagement letters, proposals, and onboarding. And that is when he decided to create Practice Ignition. So that's where Practice Ignition is born from, an accounting practice that was completely cloud-based. Now, as Guy continued to build out Practice Ignition, he also sort of tailored it around his accounting practice, who were firm advocates of 3-option pricing, which means that we've got a fantastic feature available in Practice Ignition purely to suit your 3-option pricing structure. Practice Ignition does not require you to have 3-option pricing. You can have whatever structure pricing you like in Practice Ignition, but this is one way that you can present 3 options really neatly using tech to support you. So Practice Ignition allows you to create these 3 options from templates and from your service library so that it's really quick to present 3 different options to clients. And you can either present different services or you can present different ways of pricing, so of billing. So you could have a monthly recurring amount, you could have a split deposit amount, or you could have a pay up front options there. So you can really be flexible with how you use these options. Now that works for some firms, but I'd love to show you a way that you can actually be transparent and upfront about your pricing on your website, and having a really streamlined 3-option approach will help you here. So as you can see, we have our 3 packages here, akin to the basic, standard, and then more kind of deluxe package that I was describing earlier. And it actually allows your clients to see on their website, on your website, the options available to them. So at this point, Practice Ignition is actually behind the scenes of your website, and we're embedded into this page. So that when your client thinks, fantastic, I'm going to go for the middle package, and they click on it, this window appears, and this is a direct link into your Practice Ignition account. So your client can enter in their name, their contact details, they can review the service. You can even have an add-on section where you've got additional services that they can add on to their package. So we're really making sure that everything is actually chargeable at this point, rather than just asking for additional things later down the line. And when they click submit, that will automatically create a proposal in Practice Ignition with all of the services thereafter from that middle package that they've opted for. And once you've had the notification to say, we've created this proposal automatically in Practice Ignition for you, you can simply go in and review. And when you send out Practice Ignition, a Practice Ignition proposal, it will look something like this. So it's a much slicker version of potentially your Word document or PDF that you're sending out as a proposal currently, or maybe you're yet to start using formal proposals in your process. So with Practice Ignition, you'll have a beautiful brochure on the left-hand side, and we actually create one of these brochures for you as you sign up to Practice Ignition. If you don't have a fully fledged marketing team behind you, don't worry, we do, and we'll create one for you. You've also got a really clear overview of the scope of the work. Now, this is so important, and this is part of the reason why we want to be so structured about our services and those 3 options, is we want to make it really clear from the beginning of the relationship with that client exactly what they can expect from you and exactly what's included. So by being this clear and this open and direct about what you're offering to them, hopefully this means scope creep is going to be drastically reduced later down the line. We've then got the second page of the proposal, which is their billing schedule, so they know exactly what they're due to pay and when. So your engagement letter is now completely digital, and your clients can sign up to you really easily via the engagement letter that's been automatically created within about 2 minutes on the Practice Ignition platform, and has actually been automatically created for you via that inquiry via your website for your service. So the whole thing is automated, about 2 to 3 minutes, and much, much more impressive for your client to receive. But one of the things I really want to flag to you is that within this proposal, with its beautiful brochure, with its scope laid out, with its billing structure, with its engagement letter section, is that we've got a really important page within that proposal, which is the payment collection page. So if you opt to use payments with your Practice Ignition proposals, this means that you can capture your client's payment details upfront at the moment that they sign that proposal with you. So it feels a little bit like an e-commerce online checkout. The whole process has been so simple for them. They've selected the service they wanted on your website. You've gone in to review that proposal, you've sent it out, so that could be within minutes. The clients then receive that proposal, they fill in their payment details, either direct debit or credit and debit card, and then they click sign, and they've automatically sort of signed themselves up to your own kind of pricing structure. So the brilliant thing about this is it means that when a client signs up to work with you, you know you're getting paid. You're automating those payments, so your own cash flow is guaranteed. You're not going to have to wait on clients to pay you, and you're not going to have to spend days a month chasing debtors. So it's a really key element of exactly what you should be doing with your pricing and billing structure. So when we say get paid at the right price, in this model, you've already worked out your pricing, you've got the right price for the client, and you're also definitely getting paid because you're securing those payment details. Now, what should a billing structure actually achieve? So the first thing is improve cash flow for you. You need to be looking after your own business and your own cash flow as a priority. So things like monthly recurring billing really enable you to have an automated payment process. It means that if you're doing something like a VAT return, you're not going to do all of the work for that and then be unsure whether your client's actually going to pay you or not. Whereas if you structured that out over a period of months or quarterly or even a split deposit, you know at least you've accrued some money for the time that you're actually investing into that service. The second point is improve cash flow for your client. So many clients don't like getting hit with a really big bill at the end of the year. And as accountants, you know what's going on with their bank balance more than anyone. So to hit them with a large bill at the end of the year often isn't doing them any favours either. And in a time where everything is pretty much on a monthly recurring billing basis at the moment, everything from Netflix to Amazon Prime, your clients will be more open to a monthly recurring billing process than you might actually think. I also want to flag that it's fewer hours of admin with the right billing structure. So rather than having to work out how many hours you've spent on a piece of work and recording everything in timesheets, if you have a monthly recurring fixed fee, automatically you know exactly where when the money is coming in, and you don't have to sort of spend time working it out. And so if you are using Practice Ignition payments, which will automatically collect the payments on whatever the client's billing schedule and you then disperse it into your bank account, it'll also reconcile those payments automatically with your QuickBooks invoicing. You're not going to spend all that time sifting through your bank statement to see, okay, who paid us when? Has it come in? Shall we send them an email to see if it has come in? And all of that time that you would spend reconciling or raising invoices manually. You're also going to give your client a much better client experience. It's much nicer for a client to sign the proposal at the beginning of the relationship with you. They're really pumped up to start working with you, rather than then to have to be chased to fill in a form for their direct debit details, or even chased on a monthly basis as to, have you paid us yet? It's a much nicer client experience to be able to do that at the beginning and to be able to continue the relationship on without having to have those conversations that are quite low value about being chased for money and when things are going to get paid. And I just wanted to show you a little insight into what the Practice Ignition platform can give you. So here you can see you can structure your billing by many different billing types. And I've mentioned a few of them here. So recurring, it could be monthly recurring, it could be weekly recurring, it could be quarterly, it could be a split deposit. And Practice Ignition will allow you to structure a billing process that works for you and your client. But the key takeaway I'd like you to go away from today's session with is that you don't want to do any work without having received some sort of money in advance for it. And you also want to automate the payments. So you don't want to be doing any or many manually raised invoices or manually requested payments. So everything should be automated and structured out from the beginning. And the real secret to getting paid on time is Practice Ignition payments, in the sense that from the moment your client has signed the proposal, instantly they're going to be automating their payments. They don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. And it works beautifully with QuickBooks. I mentioned earlier that we'll reconcile payments, Practice Ignition payments, with your QuickBooks invoice. So we have a fantastic integration with QuickBooks Online, which means that every time a client signs a proposal and they agree to annual accounts, bookkeeping and payroll, and whatever their billing structure is, whether you've gone quarterly, monthly, a mix of the two, automatically Practice Ignition will create the client in QuickBooks if they're not already an existing client in there, and will automatically start generating invoices for you. So you never have to create an invoice and set it to recur yourself, and you'll never have to go in and create a one-off invoice. Practice Ignition will do all of that. So you might be thinking, oh, that sounds handy, but it doesn't take me that much time to actually set up an invoice once for a client and set it on recurring. The thing that I'd like to emphasize to you here is that the link from your Practice Ignition proposal through to your QuickBooks invoicing, through to your payments, is an ongoing sync. So what this means is that if you make a change to the contract at any point, you start charging more for payroll because they've brought on new members of staff. You increase your bookkeeping amount because they've exceeded a certain number of transactions. They're doing really well and they want to add on advisory services. Whenever you add in a service to their existing service list, you will automatically increase the price in line with whatever you're charging for that additional service. So by increasing the price, you increase the amount of payments that we're then going to collect from the client. The invoice will reflect this as well and will reconcile the two. So what that gives you is a single source of truth of what's going on for all of your clients. You can go into Practice Ignition and have an up-to-date version of exactly what services each of your clients are going for. That feeds into your payments, so you're not having to manually go and adjust payments, you're not having to go in and manually change your invoices, and your terms are up to date and they reflect the services you're offering to the client. So that ongoing sync means that over time you're going to have complete control over exactly what's going on with all of your clients, all of their services, all of your payments and all of your invoicing. So I want to have another moment of reflection. So if everyone could just take a moment to think, how many people here have debtors of more than a month? So how many people's cash flow is actually in the hands of their clients, determining whether they're actually going to pay on time or not? And this is something that was really prevalent last year when a lot of businesses were struggling and they weren't necessarily able to go and pay a really big fee that was due for their annual fee. Now, if that is split out over a monthly basis, you're much less likely to have those big debtor problems. And actually Practice Ignition can be used to put a plan in place and structure out that monthly billing for clients who are struggling to pay those larger bills on time. So we've got loads of brilliant clients who use Practice Ignition, and I just wanted to point out Lloyd Stubbs from Tax Assist, who is a QuickBooks Online user, and he has loved using Practice Ignition payments. I think he brought them on relatively quickly into his firm and rolled them out across all of his client base, and he's found that it's been a fantastic way to save time, to give the clients a better experience themselves, and he means he's got complete overview of exactly what's going on within his own practice. So you're never going to be left wondering with what's going on with our clients at the moment. Which leads me on to our forecasting section of Practice Ignition. We've got a fantastic dashboard where all of your signed proposals will feed into. So all of those clients that you've structured out their billing over the next few months, you can see what you're due to be making in June, August, September. So you've got real oversight into the modelling that's happening over the next coming year. You can see things like your sales pipeline. So how many proposals are actually getting signed? Has our conversion rate gone down? You can also see things like which of your services are the most profitable. So how many proposals have been signed that are bringing in the most accounting services, advisory services, so you can get an insight into what's actually working really well for your business. And so I want to lead you onto the Q&A, and we would love to know if this session was useful to you. Please click on the survey button on this page to answer a few questions. I'd love to answer your questions, so please do get them in and I can start answering them now.